Hey, 555ers, Andrew here. Have you ever wanted a superpower? Well, you can have it at the cost of incredibly humiliating and expensive mistakes. That's what you get with night vision. Of course, night vision is amazing. You get to see in the dark. You get to shoot guns in the dark. You get to do fun, goofy stuff in the dark, hopefully with your pals, or maybe not, because no one has heard of night vision in your friend circles and you're figuring it out alone for yourself for the first time. Anyway, this has been my experience with night vision in this video. It's effectively my introduction to what I hope is a new playlist. It's going to be something that I continue to explore. Night vision is truly amazing, but there's no doubt about it. It's incredibly complicated and esoteric unless you have some kind of guidance. I'm not here to give you wisdom or expertise in this. I'm just here to show you my mistakes. Effectively, this video is going to be my descent back into hell, the circles of hell, one being a helmet, one being a night vision unit, and then one being setting up my rifle, trying to figure out all the stuff that you need to do in order to actually have an effective shooting night vision setup. Now listen, there are definitely more knowledgeable videos out there, but I think sometimes those knowledgeable videos fail to comment on things that would probably be extremely obvious to someone who's been immersed in the night vision world for a while. And so some of the things I'll be talking about will be things you will not be hearing in other videos. You will not be hearing them even in a lot of the intro to night vision videos. And the reason is quite simple. There's an assumption of basic knowledge that frankly needs to be learned through experience. And I'm going to try to share some of those mistakes that I made with you. Mistakes were made. In my head, this video has been called Stumbling into Night Vision. I don't know if that's the title I'm going to use in the video or not, but that is how I would describe this experience of learning about the night vision world and all the equipment that it entails. So I hope you enjoy this discussion, and I hope that this serves as a good intro video to a new playlist here on 555 Gear. Let's play a little game here. Which night vision unit in front of you is the good one and which one is the one you should pass on? If you're new to night vision, they look practically identical, and indeed they are very, very similar looking, but one is a Gen 2 Plus unit with really crappy optics and housing that doesn't feel as good in the hand, and the other is a Gen 3 unit that I was able to get hand selected by a small builder. Which one is the one you should choose? Well, if you haven't figured it out at this point, the one on the right is the one that I have kept. The one on the left is a Gen 2 unit. I don't know how old it is, and it wasn't as nice in person for sure compared to the Gen 3 unit. But this is exactly the sort of thing that when you're a newbie and you're looking at these things, especially just pictures, they look pretty darn similar. All right, well, let's talk about the night vision units themselves. As you can see here, I've got a Gen 3 PVS-14. This is probably the area that when you're starting to get into night vision, you will geek out on the most. Of course, there are three major generations of night vision, and most guys, when they're looking into their first night vision setup, end up looking at either Gen 2 or Gen 3 setups. The Gen 1 stuff is totally obsolete, and it's really hard to find anyway. So typically you're looking at what is called Gen 2 Plus single monocular tubes, or you're looking at something more mainstream like a Gen 3 PVS-14, which is typically what is issued in the military. If you're a baller, you might look right away at binos or some kind of fused night vision, like with thermal and night vision combined. I'm not playing on that level at all. I really wanted to just get a simple monocular unit, and honestly, this is the third unit I've gotten that I'm actually happy with for the first time. First mistake that I made was when I first got into night vision was thinking that buying from a brand that has some kind of like larger production scale is a good idea, and that might be true of certain things in night vision, but buying from the brand that I did, AGM, it was just not a good unit. It wasn't terrible. It was a Gen 3 unit, but it had a big blem, and I overpaid for it. I paid over $2,000 for it, and the housing and the glass on it was not great. Now, thankfully, this AGM unit, I came to find out, is widely not very well regarded in the night vision world, but in the eBay world, it sold for exactly what I paid for it. So it took me about 6 months to realize, okay, the unit I got wasn't a very good one. I should just get rid of this low level green phos unit. Forget it. I'm frustrated. If you're still watching, God bless you. Let's talk about a couple other things. You've got to figure out how to attach this freaking thing to your head. And typically, there are a couple different types of mounts. I went with what was widely accessible and which many people considered good enough. I went with just a typical J-arm. Notaros mil-spec type of mount seems to be just fine. It fits my head fine. I don't know about, if I'm actually running around with this, if the little bit of play in the helmet is going to be a problem or not. But figuring out how you mount your unit to your head is definitely a real pain in the ass to figure out the first time. And the reason is of course, you don't see any of these mounts in person. You have no idea what they're actually like. It's all about these tolerance stacking problems that make no sense unless you're actually working with them in person. So do you need a dovetail? Do you need a Wilcox? This is all shit you're just going to have to buy and figure out unless you have friends with this stuff, or you have like somehow miraculously access to a store with some of these things at the store. There's nothing even close to me that, I mean, I don't know where I would go in Minnesota to find out about this stuff in person, but nowhere as far as I can tell. Thanks, Minnesota. So anyway, once you get your freaking mount figured out, then you're, of course, dealing with the problem of the helmet. Now, this is a Team Windy XFEL bump helmet. Pretty standard issue stuff. This is the third freaking helmet that I got that finally fit my head. I tried other stuff. Again, starting cheap. I thought that there would be, airsoft helmets that would be fine for me. I'm not ever looking to get into a two-man range or a two-direction range. They usually say two-man range, right? What the? So anyway, the bump helmet was fine for me. I'm not a cool guy. I don't think I'll be doing any cool guy stuff. So back to the rest of the helmet. Fitment on helmets is, again, one of these things that you cannot figure out except for just trying stuff out. And what I found eventually was I did like the BOA system on the Team Wendy, and found that this size did fit my head well. I had an OpsCore helmet that didn't fit right, probably my fault. And I also had another helmet that was an airsoft replica, forgetting the damn brand, of another common, I think it was a Flux or something, that also did not fit. And as I found out, it was a one-size-fits-all helmet. You just add or remove pads and make it fit. Don't ever buy a helmet like that. Actually figure out your head measurements and buy a helmet that is designed to actually fit the measurements of your head. If you just get a one-size-fit-all helmet, those are just all like XXL helmets with tons of pads. Not cool, not fun to wear at all. Felt like I was like wearing a motorcycle helmet on my head or something. Other things on the helmet that were a ton of work to figure out was Earpro. As you can see here, I've got basically OpsCore amp clones here on real Safariland Liberators, and figuring out the ear setup is very annoying. As you can see here, I haven't even I've been fiddling with these things because they're not really meant to play well together. They sort of do, they sort of don't. On the Earpro itself, obviously you have very budget options out there, like retrofitting a pair of walkers, or you can do something really fancy and get the same stuff that's issued. The generic OpsCore amp arms here are fine. They do help fit my head better. And then I've just got weights in the back on the top here. Just a couple little things. I've got, this is a Unity IR light, and then this is just a first gen Inforce. The Inforce lights are kind of nice because they're cheap IR lights and they have two modes. You can switch from IR back to a regular light. And this unit, if you buy it used, is like $100. Basically, you need an administrative task light on your helmet. This is a therm little rotator for the light, so that you can either, look at, you know, a map, or frankly at your dumb hands or your feet, or at a doorknob or something that you're trying to figure out how to open. And this can also light up a room nicely too. If you don't want the IR light on your gun on necessarily, which of course you're not necessarily going to be firing that light all the time. I would say that out of everything in this journey, the helmet has been one of the most annoying pains in the butt. Figuring out the mount, figuring out a helmet that actually fits, figuring out the Earpro, figuring out the accessories like an IR light. These are all things that take a ton of research. So this isn't to deter you from doing it, but just be advised that actually getting a functioning helmet set up was really a lot of work and iterating different things. So the helmet was probably my least favorite part. Lastly, of course, we can talk about the part that I thought would be the most fun, which is getting my rifle set up. Shooting 300 blackout suppressed is an incredible experience that I wholly enjoy. Getting the rifle set up after I had it shooting nicely was another pain in the butt. Obviously, you need some kind of optic that's going to be night vision compatible. This is an EOTech XPS3. This is a Unity riser, which is helpful to get this at an eye level that makes more sense when you're passively looking through this with your night vision. Otherwise, you're kind of getting pretty close to just bumping your unit up against the gun itself, which is obviously something you completely need to avoid. If you get something like this set up, as soon as you get your passive set up, you realize this sucks. I really probably need something active, and that's where this Holosun comes in. This Holosun here is the LE420GR. The thing that's interesting about this unit is that it has both a regular flashlight illuminator and then the IR illuminator and the laser. So one of the things that you'll find out when you're setting up a night vision gun is that you always need both all of the regular lighting that you need for regular daytime kind of administrative handling, identification of targets, etc., that you would use with a regular light, and then you also need to be able to do all of that in the dark. And a lot of times what guys do is they set up an IR laser and an IR illuminator, and then they have their white light on a separate unit, you know, a Surefire or something like that. That's fine, but that is a lot of junk. It involves a lot of switches, and it doesn't always work. And so I was just hoping to find something that just had a simple fire unit right on the unit that also had the IR light. Now, the downside of the LE420, and I will do a full review of this separately, is that it's only got a 300 lumen flashlight on it, so the actual regular light isn't great. And because this is just a Civ-powered IR device, it is not particularly powerful. I almost bought a PEC 2 instead of this, but the problem is if those decommissioned things break, then they're junk. You can't get them fixed. No one will fix them for you unless you find someone kind of in the aftermarket to fix it. And I didn't want to spend the time figuring that out. I know that Holosun does a good job with their stuff, and I was looking for something that was just going to be simple and reliable. All right, well, if you've made it this far, you might be wondering, well, why get into night vision at all? And I mentioned the superpower thing in the beginning, and it is a really cool experience running night vision at night and getting that experience of looking up at the incredible galaxy that we live in under night vision. Those things are all really cool. Another reason I think that this is valuable is because we actually just are able to have access to this right now. There are a lot of places where this type of equipment is just illegal now. But I'll be honest, to kind of leave my closing thoughts with you, I really don't know if this is actually worth it for most people in the end. I don't think guys are shooting their guns enough. I know I'm really happy if I get to the range once a week. And if you're only getting to the range once a week, how often are you shooting in the dark? For me, it's like, I don't know, probably a few times a year. It doesn't really make sense to me to have, $5,000 worth of shit just sitting in my safe unless I'm actually using it all the time. That being said, I don't regret getting to this point. I'm excited to have what I think is pretty serviceable equipment all around. And I would love to hear from you below what you think are decent night vision stuff to get into. What am I missing? What would you add? If you get your night vision tube set up, you get a helmet that actually fits and works, and you have a rifle that's reliable and shoots well in the dark. That's a pretty good start, and it's definitely going to be the start to this night vision playlist here on 555 Gear. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give me a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments below if you're interested in learning more about this setup. Let me know what you'd like to see first. And as always, if you like what you see here at 555 Gear, please hit subscribe. This kind of content is definitely reaching out to a new audience for me, but I believe there is a lot of people that are interested in this. And so if you got to this point and you're not a subscriber, you really should subscribe so that you can support the channel. I would appreciate that. It would ensure that I have people that are interested in this type of content in the future, and I would certainly be glad to hear from you in a future video. All right, guys, thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for tuning in to 555 Gear.